Ever feel like you're constantly pushing for change, setting resolutions, maybe trying new routines, but somehow you end up right back where you started?
Oh, absolutely. Or maybe you've wondered if those little habits, the ones you barely notice each day, are actually shaping your life in, well, really profound ways.
It's that gap, isn't it,
Yeah.
between where we are and where we really want to be.
Yeah, and we often focus on these huge leaps, these big dramatic transformations, and when they don't happen instantly, it's easy to get, disheartened.
Right. But what if the real power lies in something much smaller? Almost invisible, even.
That's the key idea, I think.
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're exploring the brilliant ideas in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits.
A fantastic book.
It really is. And forget about those overnight makeovers. This is about understanding how tiny, tiny incremental improvements can compound.
Into truly remarkable, lasting change.
Exactly. Think of this as your personal guide to the core principles, building good habits, breaking bad ones, all distilled from Clear's insights just for you.
And our mission today, really, is to unpack these key concepts so that you, the listener, get practical, actionable guidance for making real shifts in your daily life.
Okay, so let's jump right in. This idea of the aggregation of marginal gains sounds a bit technical, maybe?
It does sound a bit academic, but the story behind it is just fascinating. It comes from the British cycling team. Before, say, 2003, they weren't exactly world beaters.
Not at all. I read that a major bike manufacturer was actually reluctant to even sell them bikes, so they thought it would hurt their reputation.
That's right. Then Dave Brailsford came in as the performance director,
Huh?
and his whole approach was about making tiny, just 1% improvements in absolutely everything.
And when you say everything, you really mean everything, don't you?
Oh, completely. They didn't just tweak the bikes or the training schedules, the obvious stuff. They looked at things you wouldn't even think of.
Like what?
Well, the rider's sleep quality, the best massage gel to use, even teaching them the most effective way to wash their hands to cut down on colds.
Wow. Just constantly asking, where can we find that tiny edge? How can we make this just a fraction better?
Exactly. And individually, a 1% change feels like almost nothing, right? Insignificant.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it adds up.
But over time, it accumulated massively.
Mm-hmm.
Just 5 years later, Beijing Olympics, 2008, the British team's performance was incredible.
Didn't they win something like 60% of the gold medals available in cycling?
Around that, yeah. It's astonishing. And they kept going. Multiple Tour de France wins followed. It just shows how these tiny, almost invisible tweaks can lead to absolutely extraordinary results.
It really changes how you think about progress, doesn't it? It forces you to see that our lives are basically the sum total of our habits.
Yeah, that choice that's 1% better or 1% worse. It seems tiny in the moment.
Right, like no big deal.
But zoom out, look long term, and those tiny decisions compound. They literally sculpt who you become.
So success isn't about these sudden dramatic transformations.
No, it's the product of consistent daily habits. Think of it like compound interest.
Okay, like with money.
Exactly. Small investments made regularly grow significantly over time. Positive habits, learning, relationships, exercise, they compound to create huge advantages.
But the flip side is also true, right?
Definitely. Negative habits, stress, negative self-talk, maybe too much screen time, they compound too, leading to bigger problems down the road.
Makes you stop and think, what are those little habits in my own life, the good and the bad, that are quietly compounding right now?
Mm-hmm. Are they working for you or against you?
Now, another really powerful idea from the book, one that really struck me, was shifting focus away from just goals.
Ah, yes, the goals versus systems idea.
We all set goals. I want to lose weight. I want to write a book, get organized. But Clear points out that goals alone can sometimes, well, fall short.
And there's a good reason for that. Think about the yo-yo effect. You work super hard, you hit the goal, and then what?
The motivation kind of evaporates.
Often, yeah. The drive was tied to that specific outcome. Once it's achieved, you might slip back into old ways. Plus, think about it. Winners and losers often share the same goals.
That's a great point. Everyone in the race wants to win.
Exactly. What separates them isn't the goal. It's the system they have for training, for improving consistently.
So Clear introduces this systems-first mentality, focusing on the underlying processes, the routines that lead to results.
He puts it really well. The purpose of setting goals is to win the game.
The purpose of building systems is to continue playing the game. I love that.
It shifts the focus to sustainability, to long-term improvement, not just crossing a finish line.
It suggests true long-term thinking is almost goalless, in a way.
In a sense, yeah. The focus becomes endless refinement, continuous improvement of the process itself.
And this is huge for anyone feeling frustrated. If you're having trouble changing your habits, the problem isn't you, the problem is your system.
It's such a relieving thought for many people. It's not about willpower, necessarily.
It's about having the right scaffolding, the right processes in place. He sums it up perfectly. You do not rise to the level of your goals.
You fall to the level of your systems. Powerful stuff.
It really makes you ask, am I spending more time dreaming about the destination? Or am I actually building the roadmap, the system to get there?
That's the critical question.
Okay, so building on that, the book dives into this fascinating link between habits and identity. This was a real eye-opener.
The 3 levels of change, right? Outcomes, processes, and identity.
Exactly. Outcomes are what you get, processes are what you do, and identity is what you believe about yourself. And Clear argues that for change to really stick, we need to focus on identity.
It flips the usual approach. Most of us start with the outcome. I want to lose weight.
Then maybe the process, I'll go to the gym.
But identity-based habits start deeper. They start by asking, who is the type of person I wish to become?
So you envision that person first.
Yes. And then your habits become the way you embody that identity. Every action is like casting a vote for the type of person you want to be.
So if I write for 10 minutes, I'm casting a vote for I am a writer.
Precisely. If you practice mindfulness for 2 minutes, you're casting a vote for I am a calm person.
And behavior that doesn't align with how you see yourself, it just won't last.
Generally, no. It feels incongruent, like you're fighting against yourself. If you see yourself as someone who isn't healthy, forcing yourself to eat salads feels unnatural.
So habits become the path to actually changing your identity.
Exactly. The most practical way to change who you are is to change what you do. Your actions shape your beliefs about yourself over time.
He uses great examples. Each time you study, you embody the identity of a student. Each time you encourage a teammate, you embody being supportive.
It's not just about hitting external targets. It's about becoming someone new.
So the question for us becomes, who do I want to be? And are my daily actions, my votes, reflecting that identity?
A really powerful reflection.
Now, thankfully, the book doesn't just give us theory. It offers a really practical framework, the 4 laws of behavior change, for building good habits and breaking bad ones.
Super practical. Let's touch on them. First law, make it obvious.
How do we make those good habits stand out? Make them easy to remember and initiate?
A lot comes down to environment and planning. Clear talks about using implementation intentions. Basically, making a specific plan.
Like, I will behavior at time and location.
Exactly. I will meditate for 5 minutes at 7 a.m. in my living room. Very concrete. Another great one is habit stacking.
That's linking a new habit to one you already do.
Yep. After I pour my morning coffee current habit, I will think of one thing I'm grateful for, new habit. And crucially, design your environment.
Make the cues visible.
Right. Put your running shoes by the door, leave fruit out on the counter, not hidden away. Make the cue for the good habit impossible to miss.
Okay, simple but effective. Second law, make it attractive. How do we make ourselves want to do these things?
Well, think about dopamine, that anticipation of reward. We can hijack that using temptation bundling.
Pairing something you want to do with something you need to do.
Precisely. Like only listen to your favorite podcast while you're exercising, or only get that fancy coffee after you've done your most important task.
Makes the need to do more appealing.
Definitely. And don't underestimate social norms. Join a group or community where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. It becomes much more attractive.
And that reframing trick, changing I have to into I get to.
Yes, I get to move my body instead of I have to exercise, shifts the whole feeling around it.
Powerful. Okay, third law, make it easy. This feels key.
Oh, it is. It taps into the law of least effort. We naturally gravitate towards what's convenient.
So reduce the friction for good habits.
Exactly. Lay out your workout clothes the night before, prep healthy meals in advance, anything that lowers the barrier to starting.
And the 2-minute rule.
Brilliant. When starting a new habit, scale it down so it takes less than 2 minutes. Read every day becomes read 1 page, or even open the book.
Just master the first 2 minutes.
Master the art of showing up, momentum builds from there, and conversely, for bad habits.
Increase the friction. Make them harder to do.
Right. Unplug the TV after use.
Right.
Leave your phone in another room when you need to focus. Put tempting foods on the highest shelf. Add steps between you and the bad habit.
Makes total sense. And the final law, the fourth, make it satisfying.
Yes, because our brains love immediate rewards. Good habits often have delayed returns, which can be tough.
So we need to find a way to feel good now.
Exactly. This is where habit trackers are great. That little check mark, seeing the streak grow, it provides immediate visual proof of progress. It feels good.
That don't break the chain mentality.
It works. And the crucial rule, if you do slip up, never miss twice. One missed day is an accident. Two is the start of a new unwanted habit. Get back on track immediately.
So, obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying, a really solid framework.
Definitely gives you levers to pull for any habit.
Now, the book also touches on some, let's say, advanced tactics for moving beyond just establishing habits towards, like, real excellence.
Right, like aligning habits with your natural inclinations. The truth about talent.
Meaning, play to your strengths.
Essentially, yes.
Ah,
While we can improve at almost anything, it's often wiser to focus your habit building in areas where you have some natural aptitude or interest. Choose the right game for you.
and the Goldilocks rule.
Yeah, that's about motivation peaking, when tasks are right on the edge of your current abilities. Not too hard, not too easy.
Just challenging enough to stay engaged.
Keeps you locked in that sweet spot for growth. But it also means acknowledging boredom.
Even successful people get bored with their routines.
Absolutely. The difference is they find ways to push through it, to stay consistent, even when motivation dips. It's not always exciting.
And there's a potential downside to good habits too, like becoming automatic.
Yeah, you can go on autopilot and stop being sensitive to feedback. You might keep doing something out of habit, even if it's no longer the best approach.
So the need for reflection and review.
Crucial. Things like an annual review, checking if your habits still serve your goals and values, keeps you intentional.
And that interesting point about keeping your identity small.
Right. Don't tie your entire self-worth to one role like CEO or athlete. If that role changes, your identity can crumble.
Better to define yourself by broader values or qualities, like curious or resilient.
Exactly. Makes you more adaptable when life throws curveballs.
So bringing it all together, it seems the path to lasting change really comes down to those small, consistent steps.
And focusing on your systems and building habits that reinforce the person you truly aspire to be.
Absolutely. Okay, so for everyone listening, let's make this super practical. Here are a couple of things maybe you could try right away.
Good idea.
First, think of just one small habit you'd like to build. Now, how can you apply the 2-minute rule? Scale it down to its simplest, easiest starting point.
Just the first 2 minutes. What does that look like?
Second, take that tiny habit. How could you make it just a little more obvious or a little more attractive in your environment starting today? A reminder, temptation bundling.
Just one small tweak using those first 2 laws.
And then maybe a third one. Think of an existing habit you want to do less of. What's one tiny thing you could do right now to make it slightly harder, to increase the friction just a bit?
Even a small barrier can make a difference. Put the remote across the room, perhaps.
Exactly. It's not about giant leaps. It's about those small, consistent actions, those atomic habits.
The journey of 1,000 miles really does begin with a single atomic step.
So the question for all of us is, what tiny step will you take today?